A mysterious meteorite crashed into the earth and hit a lighthouse on the coast. I thought this was just a very normal phenomenon, but something strange happened right after that around the suddenly formed lighthouse, a protective barrier made of giant colored patches that humans call Shimmer. This Shimmer word is extremely unusual. Fish have evolved into transparent bodies. Mango babies have the appearance of deer sharks, and apricot blossom grow on their horns, after eating human brains. Bears can understand and speak humans' language. Not only that, trees also grow in the same shape as humans, with bodies with arms and legs. Dream Myrtle is constantly spreading on Earth, continuing to send robot and expedition inside to investigate, but all of them have never returned. So in the end, what secret is this place hiding? Lena is a university professor of biology, and Kokok's husband is a soldier of the United States Marine Corps. That's why he always has to be away from home to carry out secret missions. A year ago, after Lena's husband left in a hurry and then went missing, that left the heroine alive, like a soulless corpse that was sullen all day long. One day while she was painting the wall, Ken suddenly returned home. She immediately ran to hug her husband and burst into tears, but Ken didn't react at all. She was stiff like the statue. Noticed something strange, so Lena forced him to give an explanation. However, no matter how he asked, he said he didn't know. Like he had lost his memory, but as soon as he took a sip of water, he suddenly vomited, so bloody. Lena immediately put her husband in the car to the emergency room. On the way to the hospital, they were stopped by several cars and inexplicably kidnapped. Lena was given an injection and was unconscious on the spot. When she regained consciousness, she just discovering that she had been taken to a scientific research facility. The psychology professor Vest took her to the observatory, where Lena saw an amazing sight of a colorful barrier, 2 kilometers away. It was like a wall going straight up into the sky and emitting a strange light. Professor Venice told the female lead that what she just saw was called a myrtle. It fell from the sky a few miles away. It's been 3 years now, and it's constantly spreading outward. No one knows what it is because many expeditions have gone inside, but no one can come back. Even robots or animals are like that. They're only one person, what escaped from. There was Lena's husband, so the scientists wanted to study his body to find out what he had gone through. Professor Vest also said that this time she would personally lead the expedition, go inside but the sim because Ken is still in a coma, so Lena wants to go in there to find a way to save her husband very quickly. The expedition of 5 people, all women, has reached the barrier. The first one is a professor, a psychologist, but has human cancer. The second is Yossi, a PhD in physics, who is very intelligent but has a tendency to self-harm. The third is a medical worker, Anya. She has an irritable personality and is addicted to distilled rice water. And the fourth is a geologist. Physics also wanted to disappear from the world because of his daughter's death. The last person was our female protagonists, biologist Lena. When everything was prepared, the 5 people immediately entered the sim world, dreaming. They didn't know that some things would ruin their lives here. A bright sunlight shone into the tent, causing Lena to wake up. She opened the door and walked out to find that the surrounding had turned into a dense forest. This made her, the female protagonist, felt confused and didn't know when she had taken the risk. When the group met and shared the food they had brought with them, they realized everyone had lost their memories for 3 days, but what was worse were the devices. Electronics here have absolutely no signal, even the compass is spinning blindly, but this problem does not make it difficult for the geographer Tsai. She uses the watch to determine the direction of south and says just go there, you will definitely see the coast, just follow the coast and you will definitely find the lighthouse. After determining the direction, everyone continued their journey. A wooden house on the side of the road attracted their attention. Lena is a biologist, so she noticed something was wrong with the trees around here. Many different types of flowers were growing on the same tree. This is completely impossible in the outside world. On the other hand, after Yossi checked the house a second ago, he reported that everything was fine. Who would have thought that as soon as he finished speaking, some mysterious force pulled him straight inside, and everyone rushed to check and discovered Yossi was struggling miserably in the water. She screamed that something was biting her backpack. Seeing that, Lena and her teammates quickly joined forces to bring Yossi to shore. What happened to attack them was a 6 m long albino crocodile that opened its mouth full of blood and rushed to attack everyone. They were all extremely scared and immediately brought out hot good and opened fire, but the shots fired were just like burning electric poles, only the crocodile skin. Luckily Lena knelt down in time and shot straight into its hungry snout, because this was the crocodile weak point, so it quickly lay down to dry its body. And then everyone began to examine it, investigated the swamp monster and discovered something surprising. I didn't expect the crocodile to grow sharp teeth. How could this happen? It seems like the animals and plants in the Shimmer are mutated. Genetically modified people continued to go inside. While climbing on the boat, they saw purple bruises appearing on their hands. And under the water were transparent fish that can only be found at the bottom of the deep sea. Not only that, on the shore, they also seeing 2 deer with identical actions on their heads growing beautiful apricot blossoms. The group continued forward and found a military post half swallowed by seamers on the wall filled with mutant creatures that looked like it. After getting inside, they discovered that someone had been here, and on the board there was a map of the military area and a duty list, and there was also a memory card. They quickly took out the camera and inserted the memory card. To see the image that appeared, making people surprised, at that time, Lena's husband was using a knife to cut a squat on another man's stomach in his stomach. He had something that looked like a baby. The eel was swimming. This made the 5 girls shake their hair. Na used her body to calm down their comrades and said that these people were all crazy and the video could be face. On closer inspection, they saw a picture on the wall. When I got closer to the swimming room, I was shocked to see that this is not a picture. The picture below is clearly a person. This person is the person who was disemboweled in the video. The eel monster crawled out of the victim's stomach and spread out. Outside, still underwater, was the disemboweling knife. When night fell, they began to hear strange sounds, but using infrared glasses to observe, they couldn't see anything. Suddenly, a large object jumped out and bit into it, took Ken's shoulder and dragged her away until dawn. The remaining 4 people discovered the geographer body in the forest. Her body and end brain had been eaten by some creature and then suddenly sacrificed. Kiss suspension made Anya and Yossi completely devastated. They wanted to go back like Lena. She wanted to find a way to save her husband. The difficult was that they had only been on the road for 6 days and only had 2 days left to find the truth. Hope is still waiting for us ahead, so the 4 of them continued on their way. The group continued to a strange place. The trees here all have human shapes on their bodies and flowers grow. It looks very beautiful at this time. Scientists have discovered something. She said that because the Shimmer is a glass, it refracts and reproduces everything on Earth from light waves to radio, so it can change the genes of animals, plants, and humans are no exception. This is why such strange phenomena occur that night. Lena quietly woke up. She took out a drop of her blood and observed it under a microscope. However, her genes are being copied and split, so Yossi's guess is completely correct. Since watching the video in the military area, Anya was haunted by seeing more and more of her fingertips. She was afraid of herself will be disemboweled like the victim in the clip, so he decided to attack first while everyone was sleeping and immediately threw them into chairs in his head. There was always a stream of thoughts urging him to kill everyone as soon as everyone. Life was saved. The person was hanging by a thread outside. Suddenly there was a cry for help. Isn't that your voice? Why is she still alive? Anya immediately rushed out to check, but the next second there was a monster roar. After going inside, there was no more movement. At that moment, a giant bear stepped in front of the heroine and the other 2 people and let out a cry for help from those who had been eaten by the mutant bear. Possesses a special ability to deceive its prey. Life was saved. The person was hanging by a thread outside. Suddenly there was a cry for help. Isn't that your voice? Why is she still alive? Anya immediately rushed out to check, but the next second there was a monster roar. After going inside, there was no more movement. At that moment, a giant bear stepped in front of the heroine and the other 2 people and let out a cry for help from those who had been eaten by the mutant bear. Possesses a special ability to deceive its prey. It was killed before it died. It still let out a cry for help, causing everyone to use the professor vest, wanting something to happen again. The wish happened, so she immediately set out in the night. At this time, Yossi discovered that her arm was starting to grow. The tree grew even faster. She knew that she would not be able to escape from this place, so she went to the deep forest to save her life. By the time Lena reached the place, she was already immersed in nature and didn't have much time to mourn, so she immediately set off and finally reached the beach here, shimmering with enough pearl. The colors of these strange trees seemed to be made of ice, sparkling in the sunlight in front of the entrance to the lighthouse. The skeleton were neatly placed. The female protagonist stepped inside when she saw a black hole and a scorched bobby. He guessed that was probably a member of the previous expedition team. In front of him, he placed a camera. After opening it, he discovered that the skeleton in front of him was the husband of the cock Ken in the English video. He looked very depressed and said he didn't know who he was. His body and consciousness were not his. He didn't want to live anymore, so he asked the man next to him to come find Lena after going out. After speaking, Ken immediately detonated the street bomb. But what stunned Lena was that the still living man looked exactly like her husband. What happened between these 2 people? If Ken committed suicide, who is the person who returned home to be able to explain the phenomena that occurred in the Shimmer? Perhaps she had to go into that black hole. So Lena walked through a dark path. It was pitch black. Its 4 walls were like a body, lived and saw the professor vest. She said that she knew all the truth. This thing would swallow everything on Earth. As soon as she finished speaking, a stream of light suddenly emitted from her mouth. Her body immediately evaporated, burned and decomposed, turning into sparkling fragments that then converged into a cloud of energy. Inside, strange sounds were constantly swirling. Lena curiously walked over when suddenly a drop of blood appeared in the corner of her eye, was sucked inside. The blood cells quickly regenerated and eventually created a humanoid creature. Lena's realized that she was also copied. She was scared, picked up the gun and fired wildly at it, but it had no effect. The heroine had no choice. but to turned around to run away, but as soon as she got out of the cave, she saw the clone standing right in front of it and started performing a series of identical movement. However, when she picked up the camera stand and hit the table, it was so fast, she quickly dodged and even counterattacked and stabbed Lena to the ground, unconscious. It seemed that this copy had a mind of its own. Lena woke up and discovered that the copy was also lying there like the person who captured her. But when the heroine was about to open the door, running away from this place, the clone pressed her against the door and didn't let the leave. Lena was so pressed that she couldn't breathe. After a few steps, the two people fell down together because they were so tried, so she quickly lost it. Knowing how much time has passed, Lena and the clone have also woken up. The female lead has come up with a way to follow her husband's example. Pick up the bomb and give it to the table. When the two touch each other, the clone immediately transforms into the same shape as Lena. She unlocked the street bomb and then quickly ran outside. The bomb exploded, causing the star table to catch fire at the first place it came to. She rubbed Lena's husband's head and then crawled inside the cave, setting the whole place on fire. The lighthouse also immediately turned into a sea of fire. The ice trees outside also burned and collapsed. The wall of colorful light also disappeared. Everything became dust. Lena escaped from the sim dream and was then taken to quarantine. The researchers asked her what happened in there. The female lead said that the aliens did not want to destroy but wanted to change everything on Earth to create new and more perfect things. As for the other things, she didn't know. Next, Lena went to her husband's room. After Shimmer disappeared, Ken was miraculously cured. Lena asked if he was my husband or someone else. The other person replied that, "I thought I wasn't." He asked her back. The female lead didn't answer. In the end, the two hugged each other tightly. So in the end, Lena and Ken, who is the original. This is the end of the movie. Hello and see you again everyone.